And we are back for the penultimate match of the first half of the finals of Alliance Tournament 8. We have Paisti Syndicate versus tournament favourites Pandemic Legion. You are listening to Verone and Darius Johnson commentating. On the left-hand side of your screen, we have Paisti Syndicate lined up, and they are fielding, wow, a Tengu, a Hurricane, 3 Sabres, 3 Sleipnirs, a Thrasher, and a Scimitar.
And for Pandemic Legion, we have 2 Sleipnirs, 3 Rooks, Scimitar, Thrasher, and 3 Kitsunes.
Yeah, and this is probably going to be another one of those matches that's really going to be decided quickly, I should imagine. The amount of ECM on the part of Pandemic Legion is absolutely astonishing there.
Is it Kitsune or Kitsune?
I don't really care. People control me on the forums. What would you like to call it, Darius?
I'm going to call it a Kitsune.
A Kitsune. We'll go with Kitsune for the rest of the match.
I've never been Japanese. I think that's a Japanese word.
Yeah, I do believe that it is. But yeah, I mean, that is
Wait,
really...
that's an animal. Like a little bear thing.
Yeah, it's a fox.
Yes.
It's like a fox. I'm being told by my director that it's a fox, I believe. But yes, we're just waiting for the countdown in local from CCP Claw. We've got the 1 minute countdown. And yeah, I mean, back to the ECM heavy PL setup. I mean, that is really excessive, I would say, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could say it's excessive, but if it works, who cares?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, all they want to do at this point is they want to get through, and they want to go to the final, and they want to win.
All I want to do is dance.
Yes, they do. And I do believe they are going to in roughly about 30 seconds, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, very heavily Minmatar oriented setup there for Paisti Syndicate, with 1 Tengu thrown in. Why do you suppose that Tengu is there? Do you think it's logistics, ECM?
I don't know. Maybe just to
look pretty.
Make it look like they're not just a completely Minmatar setup.
Yeah, potentially. Maybe
throw
it's
you off.
Maybe it's there as bait. We'll see how it goes. It looks like the familiar subsystems are present for the DPS and passive tank Tengu. It does have shield hardeners running, so it doesn't look as if it's an ECM Tengu. And wow, straight away the Paisti Syndicate team all up above 1 kilometer a second there, pretty much, and just absolutely steaming across the arena towards the PL.
Oh, they lost a Sabre on the way.
Oh, they lost a Sabre already immediately. Very little DPS actually going onto any of the PL team bar one of their Kitsunes.
Which is to be expected when you see this much ECM.
Yeah, I mean, that is 6 dedicated ECM ships.
But they're still putting out DPS as well.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that this is going to be a whitewash in favour of Pandemic Legion, because the vast majority of their team is going to be dead before they miss a cycle jam here.
Exactly. Which is what makes it excessive, but not excessive.
Well, it is an excessive setup, and it doesn't make for a really interesting tournament match, but in the end, PL are here because they want to win the tournament, so they're just going to do what has to be done. And, you know, PL aren't one exactly for public relations and making people happy, so I think they just want to come, prove a point, and get through to the final.
Just win.
Yeah,
just win, baby.
Wow, we've lost all of the Sabres now from Paisti Syndicate. They're working on the first Hurricane. 1 Rook looking sketchy for Pandemic Legion, losing all of his shields there, but swiftly being pulled back up by the Scimitar.
That would be, again, in a Scimitar. We have the Hurricane dropping now for Paisti Syndicate.
Yeah, that Hurricane is smart bombing quite violently, in fact.
That Rook probably got hit like twice before whatever it was that was shooting him lost its lock again.
Yeah, I think this is pretty much going to go the way of a whitewash in PL's favour. There's not really a great deal that Paisti Syndicate can do to counter this. I mean, they've actually got the same number of ECM ships on the field as Paisti have in their team total now. So that if they wanted to, they could just dedicate a single ship to each member, keep them jammed, and just wipe the floor with them.
Which is exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's
Pandemic Legion, very impressive in this particular match.
But I mean, it's just the way that PL play it. I mean, they'll come into a match and they want to win, so they'll come up with like these setups, like the like what we saw when they did the 3 Legions. They just come in and they just want to dominate because that's the way the alliance is.
Well, if I remember correctly, I believe it's Mr. Rive is the backbone of their team, and the brains behind the operation.
Yeah, I have Very little doubt about that, to be honest. I mean, you can see Seamus there flying one of the Sleipnirs as well. The guy who's ran Sniggedly pretty much since time began.
I'm pretty sure Mr. Rive is behind the scenes pulling the strings.
I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I mean, Paisti Syndicate I think it's just pretty much inevitable for them now, what's going to happen. There's nothing they can do against such an overwhelming ECM force.
Well, unless, for whatever reason, because ECM is luck-based, all of a sudden, Pandemic Legion just has the worst luck ever.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen somehow. It's kind of like fighting the federal militia, to be honest.
What's a federal militia?
The FDU in factional warfare, we have exactly the same issue with those guys. They'll uncloak like 10 falcons on you, and you're just like, ah. But yeah, it's very ECM heavy. It's a little bit excessive, and it doesn't make for good tournament matches. But PL are here to win.
Yeah.
It's actually very light on DPS as well. Actually, there's the only the 2 Sleipnirs really doing any real DPS. So it's a bit of a risky setup. If, say, for instance, they came up against a stealth bomber gang, and the stealth bomber gang just piled a load of bombs at them and blew up all their ECM, they'd be totally screwed. So it's a risky setup, but it's paid off for them because they probably knew what they were facing in Paisti Syndicate. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they've known for as long as was possible what Paisti Syndicate would be fielding.
Unless they don't speak, what is it, Dutch?
I do believe that they're Finnish, and I apologise. That was me yesterday who said that Paisti Syndicate were Dutch, and I may have intentionally trolled you guys a little bit, but I apologise. You are indeed Finnish and proud of it.
What made you think they were Dutch?
I didn't think they were Dutch. I knew that they were Finnish, but I said they were Dutch.
Is there like a thing with the Dutch and the Finnish?
I don't know. I think it's more between the Scandinavian countries. It's a little bit of banter that's come about over the years. Boom. We can see there Sleipnir for Paisti Syndicate going down. I wouldn't be surprised if there's only 2 or 3 ships in the entire Paisti Syndicate gang that actually got a lock in this whole fight. I'm sure we'll hear about it in the forums. But it's just, I mean, it's a total whitewash. PL came and they did what they had to do, and that's it.
Yeah, and I mean, the Mr. Rive aborting the self-destruct of his ship, cutting it close, dancing on the razor's edge.
Absolutely.
As he takes some damage, actually.
Yeah, he's actually taking fire now.
But if you notice, even on the Thrasher, he took, like, what was it, 3 shots? He dips down a little bit, and whatever's shooting him is about to lose their life.
Yeah, the DPS stops immediately. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they've got the Rook staggered, so that, like, halfway through the cycle, they've got another Rook taken over, just to keep them completely cycle jammed. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, I know we do that with Falcons whenever we can. We try and coordinate our EW as much as we can, so... It's just a matter of time for Paisti Syndicate, and I bet you when they saw the lineup they were against, it was just like, well, it's been fun, guys, because there's not much you can do against this loadout.
That's very fancy that you would cycle your things like that. I used to just find somebody I didn't like and follow them around the gym.
Jam them at every opportunity you got.
I don't know what I'm doing for the fleet, but whatever, I don't like that guy.
That guy trolled me on the forums, so I'll put ECM on him so he can't do anything.
Exactly. What you going to shoot now?
And 1 Tengu left for Paisti Syndicate, and then unfortunately they're going to crash out of the tournament before the quarterfinals. Unfortunate, they haven't fared too badly, but it looks like pretty much anyone who comes up against PL, unless they pull something really unorthodox, something really outside the box, and manage to keep all of their forums and TeamSpeak secure.
Yeah, I mean then, that's the real problem.
Yeah, that's the real problem, and it is. Oh, Mr. Rive has decided that he does want to self-destruct himself.
You know what it
now.
is? Mr. Rive just wants attention, and I'm not going to give it to him anymore. Look, I'm not falling for it.
Fair enough, we'll leave him alone then.
And the last ship explodes. And we go back to Soundwave in the studio with a win for Pandemic Legion. Not unlike the rest, with absolutely no damage taken.